hit the green light. Come on. You make him run laps. Tell him that.
Good evening and welcome to the Common Council for February 28th, 2012. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Anderson,
Present.
Riley,
Present.
Lottie,
Here.
Fowler,
Here.
Jarvis, Sedlacek,
Here.
Hanson.
Present.
Let the record show that we have a quorum for a Common Council meeting. Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. Next item on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes of the regular meeting held February 14th, 2012. The Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Alder Anderson.
Second, Alder Lottie.
We have a first and a second to approve the regular meeting minutes held February 14th, 2012. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next item is the presentation of Bird City sign and flag by Carl Schwartz, Coordinator, Bird City, Wisconsin. I'll ask our Department of Public Works Director, Bill Immig, to make the introductions and welcome, please.
Sure.
Bill.
Carl, why don't you come up? Carl is the head of Bird City, Wisconsin, and this was a Goli Park Board kind of put together last year, and after getting some paperwork, we applied last year, didn't quite meet all their criteria, so after we fine-tuned and got together with the local bird club, Carl is here tonight to present the award to us, and I give you Carl.
Thanks, Bill. I'm very pleased to be here tonight to salute the city of Plymouth as one of 10 new Bird City, Wisconsin communities that we're recognizing this winter for their efforts to make their communities a better place for birds and for people. These additional communities bring our ranks statewide to 39 as we embark upon just the second year of this innovative conservation undertaking.
Sorry about that, Carl.
The birds are here.
It sounds like it, yeah. The Milwaukee Audubon Society and the Natural Resources Foundation of Wisconsin are partnering with 7 other Wisconsin conservation organizations to take a collaborative approach. Bird City, Wisconsin seeks to mobilize a statewide coalition of citizens and public officials who already know that birds are more than beautiful, they're significant. Modeled on the Tree City USA program, Bird City has developed 22 criteria across 5 categories, including habitat creation and protection, community forest management, limiting hazards, public education, and recognition of International Migratory Bird Day. If a community meets at least 7 criteria, it becomes an official bird city. Plymouth met 11 of these criteria. We believe that local governments not only can implement sound conservation practices on their own, but they can also educate others to take complementary actions. Bird City offers highly visible public recognition to those communities that succeed in doing so. And that's why I'm here tonight. Not simply to present the signs, flag, and plaque that will publicly celebrate that recognition, but also to say a public thank you to those who worked hard to seek this recognition and to formally recognize and celebrate IMBD. That would especially include Public Works Director Bill Emick and Missy Sparrow, wildlife biologist with the Wisconsin DNR, along with John Rory and Tanya Williamson, and members of the Plymouth Bird and Nature Club. I think the folks involved here understand our belief that this recognition can make a strong contribution to community pride. It presents the kind of image that most citizens want to have for the place they live, conduct their business, or ask people to come visit. I just want to mention a couple of the conservation initiatives that Plymouth has undertaken and cited in its application. The outdoor recreation plan has proposed a bird sanctuary along the Mullet River Park corridor. The city performed a drawdown on the mill pond on the Millet in 2009 that resulted in phenomenal habitat for many bird species. There has been an organized community-wide effort to control invasive species. The new Sheboygan County Invasive Species Coordinator is stationed in Plymouth and regularly prints articles in the Plymouth Review regarding the control and removal of invasive species. Native prairies have been planted at Meyer Park, Riverview Middle School, and Parkview Elementary. Plymouth has been named a tree city for the past 18 years. The Parks and Rec Department website provides links to information on how to protect birds from window strike and information regarding obtaining window alert decals to prevent these window strikes can be found at the Wisconsin DNR office in Plymouth. And the Plymouth Bird Club has an active bird monitoring program in which they have erected several birdhouses throughout the city over the years and annually monitor their success. Plymouth is among our fourth group of recognized communities, which we publicly announced on January 12th. This newest group includes the cities of Kenosha, Beaver Dam, and Mayville, the villages of Ephraim, Fontana, Shorewood Hills, Grantsburg, and Sherwood, and the town of Bailey's Harbor. Our program has drawn applications from towns, counties, cities, and villages, and from all over this wonderfully diverse state. It's tailored to fit communities of all sizes, from Kenosha, more than 99,000, to villages like Ephraim, with barely 350. And in reaching 39 bird cities in just over a year, we have topped the goals we set as part of the Together Green Innovation Grant that Milwaukee Audubon received to introduce and build this program. Like Tree City USA, we want to showcase our recognition with entryway street signs, a flag, and a plaque. They will help trumpet your current conservation successes while promoting strategies for coordinated, far-reaching, bird-centered conservation activities. Like Tree City, our program offers an annual renewal. We call that sustained flight, as well as a higher level of recognition, high flyer, for additional conservation activities. And I'm pleased to report that of the first 15 inaugural Bird City communities, all 15 have opted to renew their recognition for a second year, and 5 of them have already obtained the high flyer recognition. We hope our relationship with Plymouth is sustained and grows for years to come. So without further ado, Mr. Mayor, let me present these items. First of all, a plaque. Bird City recognizes the City of Plymouth for implementing sound conservation practices and fostering public education on important bird conservation issues.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And then, we have a flag, much like the Tree City flag, only ours was designed by an artist who lives right here in the neighborhood, Tom Utek, probably the state's most famous landscape painter, lives down Saukville. And he was kind enough to put together this emblem for us. So there's that. And finally, two of these signs. And we think these are one of the attractions for the program because, and you'll get a flash because they're done to state standards. These are made by Badger State Industries up at the Stanley Prison. So they meet all the state standards for reflectivity. But I think they really stand out and really mark the city well. So thank you all very much. Bill? Mayor?
Thank you, Carl.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it very much. I'd like to take a minute to thank Carl Schwartz for coming this evening with inclement weather and our Director of Public Works, Bill, for all your hard work in the process too. And we'll keep striving for the extra flight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, next item is the audience portion where we ask citizens to sign in and be recognized, where you get to talk and we get to listen. This evening, no one signed up. Thank you very much in the past. We want to encourage you to do so in the future. Item 6, resolutions. A resolution opposing proposed amendment of Wisconsin Statute 66.0615, Senate Bill 438, and Assembly Bill 563 related to the hotel room tax revenues. This is resolution number 7 of 2012, and I would ask Director Yurgis to give us a brief summary on it, and then the chair will entertain a motion. Director?
This isn't quite as interesting as Bird City USA, and but it is a resolution that I'm putting forward for the council's consideration. There's currently a room tax bill out there in the legislature that's being circulated and being reviewed in committee. That bill, essentially the city of Plymouth currently collects 7% room tax on lodging rooms in the city of Plymouth, and that bill would reduce it essentially to 4 or 5%. What it allows is the innkeeper or the hotel owner to keep 3% of the room tax for their own purposes as a revenue for that entity. It also allows a individual or entity to take initiated action in circuit court against the city of Plymouth if someone believes that the room tax isn't being used in accordance with state law. If this law were to go into place, we currently, in the 2012 budget, we have total revenue budgeted of about $131,000. Of that, approximately $107,000 goes to the Plymouth Chamber of Commerce. The other $25,000 is a general fund revenue as well, and that just supports the general operations of the city. If this were to move forward, we're looking at a loss of revenue under the room tax of at least $56,000. Our existing room tax agreement with the chamber would probably need to be reworked and renegotiated, and between the chamber and the city, between both of us, we would be losing a total of that $56,000 in revenue. So that bill is out there, and what this resolution does is opposes that bill, and city staff will circulate this with our area legislators, and also convey this to the Plymouth Chamber Board of Directors.
Thank you, Director. Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So move. So move, Alderati.
Second, Alderman Riley.
We have a first and a second to approve resolution number 7. Would like to stipulate that it is on file in the clerk's office and on our website, if someone wants to check into it for more detail. Discussion? Alderman Lottie.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I read the resolution, and I read some of the things that are in there, and I totally disagree with what the state is doing here. They're taking tools away from the cities to let us operate in our budgets and doing things to our budget. When you read some of the things in here that they're proposing, you get to a point of why you wouldn't want to enact room tax. It's detrimental to the city. You might as well just let the hotel owner or motel owner do the room tax on his own and turn it over to the chamber or chamber membership, you know? Because like you say, you can come back on the city. If somebody thinks you aren't doing it right, who's got to litigate it? The city, not the chamber. The city would wind up litigating because we're enacting the room tax. When I look at this, you know, if they pass this law, my theory would be just get out of doing the room tax and let it go to the motel and hotels. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Lottie. Any other discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Riley.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Sedlacek.
Yes.
Lottie.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Item 7, discussion and action on how to fill the vacant District 1 aldermanic position. I would ask our council president to start the discussion off, and then the chair will call for a motion. Council President Hanson.
We discussed at last meeting to have the Director of City Services come up with a timeline line possibility, and he has, if you saw in your packets, there are two opportunities in their timeline. One is the present council, and that'd be done before the election, or close to the election time. The timeline two is done after the election, in the selection process. Well, I was approached by a couple persons and for another option that I want to present to you also tonight. And that option was to, we did have the primary, and we had two persons tied. Now, neither the persons running for the office or have approached me on this. It came from a different person. So David Williams and Alder Anderson did not bring this up. But it was thought that the community or the electoral are voting on a first and second place, and the person who wins the council position, that we choose the second person as be the council person. Because then the committee or the community in that district have voted on that particular part. So that's a proposal that I might present to you this evening. If we interview the candidates, we make the decision, not the voters making the particular decision. And so when I heard that particular part, I was thinking that was probably a good thing. If we don't enact on it before the election is done, we have the committee get together, and the mayor assigns committee members, and we approve our committee members, so that council person would not be probably in that process. If we chose then, what I'm proposing, and was, the ideas given to me, is that the person who comes in second in the election would be the alderperson for District 1. And that way the persons, because there's 3 people running, one person is eliminated, the 2 people that are still in running were tied. So I believe that the electoral should make the decision, and we should go with that second person who got that position. So we could go with timeline 1, timeline 2, but to get things going on it, I'm going to move that we would select the candidate who takes second in Alder District 1 in the election on April 3rd. So I move that.
I would second the motion.
We have a first and a second to fill the District 1 aldermanic vacancy based on the results of the April 3rd election, with the highest vote getter obtaining the 2-year seat, and second place filling the vacant remaining term of Alderman Fernsler's seat. Is that understanding?
Correct.
Correct, okay. Discussion, we have a first and a second discussion. I'll give the first the chance to comment further, and the second, and then we'll go to council. Alderman Hanson.
The person that takes second in the election, they will be running for office this coming December. So that will be the position filled. So the electoral, or the members, the voting members on that district would have a chance to vote that person back in or go with a different candidate at that time. So it'd be a shorter term, as the mayor mentioned.
He would circulate papers in December, be up for election in
correct.
April.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes.
Alderman Lottie, did you want to say anything? Okay. Alderman Szlachek.
I had suggested a similar type of timeline or option at the last meeting, and I would suggest and go along with that.
Any other comments? We have a motion, discussion. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Lottie,
Yes.
Sedlacek.
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Riley.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Good job, good work, and thank you for the council for doing a quick decision on this process so we know where we stand. It does help in the assignment process that the mayor goes through every April. Thank you. Moving on, item 8, appointments. Housing Authority, Bet Adams. The chair hereby appoints Bet Adams to fill the, Betty Adams to fill the vacancy on the Housing Authority. Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved, Alder Anderson.
Second, Alderman Riley.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item 8, approve certified survey map from Concord 27 LLC for a division of Lot 9 Walmart subdivision located on Pleasant View Road, recommended by the Plan Commission on January 5. I'll ask Director Yurgis to summarize this for us, and then the chair will entertain a motion.
This is the CSM for the Pleasant View Townhome project. What it does is basically create Lot 1 and Lot 2, as we talked about earlier in the Committee of the Whole. Phase 1 is intended for Lot 1. Phase 2 is intended for Lot 2. There is a 10-foot wide pedestrian easement over the sanitary sewer easement that's part of this to accommodate a future trail or pedestrian pathway. What will happen is that actually it's this week, Thursday, the Plan Commission is reviewing the PUD request, and they will be making a recommendation on that, as well as the general development plan, and then that'll come to the March 13th meeting for council action. So this CSM is part of, again, that Pleasant View Townhome project.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the CSM as indicated.
Second, Alder Anderson.
We have a first and a second to approve the CSM from Concord 27 LLC as indicated. Discussion? Alderman Sizlacek.
I just have a question about this, the 10-foot wide easement, pedestrian easement. Do future, or does future building in the successive lots, I guess, could that, depending on where they decide to put their building, so on and so forth, could that stop that pathway going, or is this something that has to be put in, because it's also part of the sanitary sewer as well?
Well, we're gonna have the sanitary sewer, so they're not gonna be building over that.
Okay.
And the Lot 1 and Lot 2, we're approving a specific plan under the PUD process and the general development plan, and that's all gonna get recorded. And there's gonna be a specific plan in place. The other thing is, a large part of it, I don't have it in front of me, but a large part of that path, some of it is not buildable.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Riley,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Sedlacek,
Yes.
Lottie.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Item 10, approve the purchase of a new Yale electric forklift truck for Plymouth Utilities from Yes Equipment and Services LLC, Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, for the amount of $26,857. I would ask our utility director to summarize that for us briefly, and then the chair will entertain a motion.
Good evening. This item is identified in the council-approved 2012 capital improvement program for the utilities. We received 3 quotations, and we recommend that the lowest quote be accepted this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the purchase for $26,857.
So moved, Alderman Riley.
Second, Sedlacek.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Alderman Fowler.
John, is the Yale lift manufactured in the U.S.? I noticed there's a Toyota down there, and I don't know where Doosan comes from.
I'm not sure. I'd have to look through the detail on that. I believe it is.
They have plants worldwide, but I mean, you know, I did send them an email and ask them, and then they told me to go to the dealer and all that stuff, so I abandoned ship at that point.
Okay.
From a Wisconsin dealer.
From a Wisconsin dealer, but it may be made in China, who knows?
Any other comments? Clerk will call the roll.
Lottie.
Yes.
Sedlacek.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Riley.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Item 11, approve the direct purchase of the material storage racks for the warehouse at Plymouth Utility Operations Center from Wisconsin Lift Truck, Brookfield, Wisconsin, for the amount of $20,047. I'd ask our utility manager to summarize that for us as well.
Yes, these racks will be needed to supplement our existing racks, the existing racks that we will be transferring from our present facilities and replacing those which are built in our current facilities and that will not be moved to the new building. We received 3 quotations. By doing the direct purchase and not doing it through the contract with our contractor for the new building, we will void the $1,000 sales tax, which would otherwise would have been added into the contractor's prices. Again, reviewing the quotations is my recommendation to you to accept and award the purchase to the lowest quote here.
Thank you, John. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the purchase of material storage racks from Wisconsin Lift Truck, Brookfield, Wisconsin, for the amount of $20,047.
So moved, Alder Anderson.
Second, Alder Lottie.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Fowler.
Yes.
Lottie.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Riley.
Yes.
Sedlacek.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, John. Item 12, approve Class A alcohol beverage license for Plymouth Wine and Cheese LLC, 3240 County Trunk PP, Dennis Weber, agent. I'll ask Clerk Huberty to summarize, and the chair will entertain a motion.
Chris's Cheese to Please has gone out of business, and the owner of the mini mart there has taken over ownership of that part of the building, that store, and wishes to reopen it under a new company. He's looking to get that open as soon as possible. There's lots of customers waiting, and so they have obtained the license from Chris's Cheese to Please has been surrendered, and this would just be reissuing the new license to this new company.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the Class A license application as stated.
So move, Alder Lottie.
Second, Alder Hanson.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Alderman Fowler?
Well, currently, they only sell wine, or the other owner did. And if we give them a Class A license, then could they serve hard liquor, sell hard liquor out of there?
They technically could, yes. And that's the only way that you can sell wine, is to have the Class A license.
It's one of
And
4
that's-
licenses that way.
Yeah.
The intention is not to change I talked with Dennis Weber, yes, and, the intention is to keep it exactly the same,
Because it's selling, they could sell hard liquor. They wouldn't even have to ask us, I don't think.
They don't allow either.
they could, yes, they could.
Right, but they only sold wine But
They could,
now-
and that's why, there is a limit of 4 licenses in the city of Plymouth where you can buy hard liquor, in this type of license, that you could buy hard
Yeah,
liquor,
well,
so.
we had talked about this before, and we denied other owners of gas stations. We denied them selling hard liquor. So now, if they sell hard liquor, we're gonna hear from other gas stations say, we wanna sell hard liquor too.
They could have all along. There's only 4 licenses, and that was the council's decision to only
Well, I
allow.
understand the
4
coulda, woulda,
places.
shoulda, but if they start selling hard liquor, what do we do?
I would
There
ask,
isn't
I would ask,
anything we can
the clerk maybe for a point of order here, gentlemen, please. The applicant is Plymouth Wine and Cheese LLC. Is this a separate entity from the mini-mart operation?
Yes,
So it is not the same operation, it is a different operation, okay? Maybe a technicality, but it is a
it's a
separate
different
operation.
company, and Dennis
separate
Weber
company.
did set up a separate company to purchase this business, through the.
Chief Tauschek, I would ask you for a comment.
And you have to remember, it's a separate, it's the same building, but a separate area of the building, closed off from the gas station. I believe there's a walkway through, a doorway through, so it is separate. And I don't know what the hours are gonna be with the new business, but the former business, their hours were like 10 AM to 5 PM, so it wasn't, into the evening and that type of thing. It was separate.
You would
This-
have to
this-
pay separately. You cannot go in and,
That was my next
Right.
point, is that this being a separate business entity, it would operate out of its own cash register and its own area, and they would have to comply with the Class A license restrictions on hours of operation and so on. But I do agree that, yes, they could sell more than wine if that's their choice, without further approval from the council.
correct.
Correct.
Okay, Alderman Lottie.
Mr. Mayor, when I look, it's the same thing right now we have with the grocery stores, with the Piggly Wiggly and the Pick and Save. It's the same thing. They have a liquor store, separate entrances, separate cash registers. And this is identical. And this is what we went through when we issued this license to that entity or facility over there. We went through the same process. They were separated. It was almost acted like a grocery store because it wasn't connected to the gas station. So we went through this process when it was first issued. And like you say, right now, they could do it right now. If they kept that business, they could sell liquor. That's the way it was set up. So I don't see a problem with it.
Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Sazlacek.
I would, my view on this is that the license was for that building, that business there. And just because it's a change in ownership, I think, because of the way it was set up and the way that the council that approved it originally, that it would be for that business in that place. And I would have to agree with allowing it to go forward.
Any other comments? Clerk will call the roll.
Sedlacek.
Yes.
Lottie.
Yes.
Riley.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes?
Anderson.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item 14, utility reports. Item A, list of vouchers, January 2012. Authorized payment of January vouchers. The Chair will entertain a motion to,
You skipped 13.
oh, you caught me. Okay, let's back up to 13. That's an unlucky number. Okay. Item 13, approved 2011-12 tavern operator licenses as listed, previously approved by Chief Tauschek. Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Alderman.
Second, Alder
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Now we'll go to item 14. I guess I was in a hurry for that one. Item A, list of vouchers, January 2012, authorized payment of January vouchers. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the list and payment, pay authorized payment of January vouchers 2012.
So move on, Lottie.
Second, Alder Hanson.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Fowler,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Sedlacek,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Lottie,
Yes.
Riley.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item B,
Mr. Mayor?
correction?
No,
Question?
just, I wanted to see if perhaps the council would, move to reconsider, item number 7, discussion and action on how to fill the District 1 aldermanic seat. It would be my recommendation that Alderperson Anderson abstain from voting on that item. And I think it may make sense for the minutes to clarify that. I don't believe it'll affect the outcome of the council's decision. But just in case there's any question as to whether there's a conflict of interest, I think that.
The chair will, hear a motion for reconsideration on item 7.
Mayor Pullman?
Alderman Hanson.
I voted on the prevailing side, which one, and so I can move to reconsider the motion. It needs a second, it can be debated.
I'll second it.
First and second to reconsider item 7 is now open for debating once again if we want to.
Mayor Pullman?
Alderman Hanson.
First, we have to vote on to reconsider, then once it's, if it passed reconsider, then the motion that I moved earlier about, then it's live on the floor and we re-vote on it at that time. So we have to vote to reconsider. If that passes, then that motion is back on the table.
We're voting on the reconsider at this time. Any discussion on reconsider motion? Seeing none, clerk will call the vote on reconsideration.
Riley,
Yes.
Anderson,
Abstain.
You can vote yes on this one.
Lottie,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Sedlacek.
Yes.
Motion carried. Now, the original motion is on the table for voting and discussion once again, and we can continue discussion if anybody wants. Seeing none, clerk will call the roll on the original motion for action on filling the vacant District 1 aldermanic position.
So to clarify, I don't count the first voting at all?
It's kept in the minutes, but it's now
Okay, now it's just
not
a
under authority
reconsider.
anymore.
Okay, okay,
It's preceded or superseded?
Right.
okay.
Good point.
Hanson,
Yes.
Sedlacek,
Yes.
Lottie,
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Anderson.
Abstain.
Motion carries. Thank you. Good clarification.
Sorry.
Moving on, item 14B, collection statement for January 2012. Item C, uncollectible accounts for February 2012 in the amount of $2,681.98. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the uncollectibles for February 2012, or uncollectibles for 2012, in the amount of $2,681.98.
So moved, Alderman Riley.
Second, Alder Lottie.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Anderson,
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
Lottie,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Sedlacek, Hanson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item 15. Other business, minutes acknowledged for filing. The chair wishes to acknowledge the list and indicate that they're available in the clerk's office for inspection by the public. Item B, chair announces a public hearing at City Hall, 128 Smith Street at 8:00 p.m. on March 13th, 2012, regarding an ordinance number 1 of 2012 to rezone 491-563 Pleasant View Road, part of Lot 9, Walmart subdivision, from B3 Highway Business to PUD planned planned unit development. Item 16, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move, Alder.
We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?